We've just talked about behavioral security controls. Now we're going to move on to technical security controls. And again, many of the social threats we face can be mitigated by the same type of technical security controls. And again, the threats we're referring to here that we can mitigate are things like identity theft, social engineering like phishing, vishing, smishing, scams, cons, doxing, spam, those sorts of threats. In order to mitigate these sorts of threats, consider using these sorts of technical security controls. The first is use an email provider with security controls to mitigate these attacks. When you're selecting an email provider, consider how well they protect you from spam, phishing, malware, and those sorts of things. Almost all email providers scan the email content for these types of attacks. This is a privacy concern, but it is also a security control. Sometimes security and privacy aren't compatible, and you have to choose how to deal with that. What is more important for you, privacy or security? You have to make the risk-based decision. But you can choose to have separate accounts for separate purposes. So for example, for a more private conversation, you could have a dedicated email where you use GPG, which will give you the privacy that you need, which we discuss later in full detail. And for general emails, where you have less of a need for privacy, you could go for a provider that offers security by scanning the email contents. The big email providers are good with spam, phishing, and malware protection as they have lots of resources to throw at the problem. Apple, Google, Microsoft, Yahoo, etc. They are good for protecting you from phishing and malware, but they are not good privacy. So you need to choose your provider by weighing up these options between privacy and security. For security, you want a provider that provides some filtering against these social attacks. And we cover selecting an email provider in more detail in the section on email security. Another control to protect you against these social threats is to use a credit monitoring service that notifies you of credit searches and applications that will help you, particularly against identity theft. In the US and other locations, you can freeze credit checks. This stops anyone from being able to take out loans or credit cards in your name. This is useful if you know you don't need any loans or credit, so you can freeze your credit. You want to monitor the accounts you care about where they provide this monitoring and alerting functionality. Enable the security notifications on your accounts where they are available. For example, when someone logs into your account, from where and on what device, when money transfers are made, when passwords are changed, and so on. You want alerts for those sorts of things. As an example, Gmail provides information like that on your devices that you log in. Many banks will send you notifications when there are money transfers or where your account reaches a certain level. You should enable those. Now, the rest of the technical security controls we are going to discuss throughout the course in detail. You'll learn more about them in their own sections, but a quick summary here of what will protect you against these social attacks. So first is changing the email viewer to be text instead of HTML. Using the built-in Google Safe Browsing used in Mozilla Firefox, Apple Safari, and Google Chrome. uBlock Origin for filtering. Using isolation and compartmentalization. Using a virtual machine to open attachments and click links. Using application and execution control. Sandboxes. Opening attachments online using tools like Google Docs and Etherpad, using live operating systems to open attachments and click links, using OpenPGP signatures to validate the sender is genuine, and if you frequently send and receive files via email, changing that to hosting these files and sending links to these files instead of attachments. And you could use services like SpiderOak, OwnCloud, or Cfile, enabling antivirus and endpoint protection. But all of those things we go through on the course, but they particularly do protect you against these social attacks. For useful information on protecting you against phishing, vishing, smishing, spam, scams, and cons, then have a look at this website here. This is quite good, Action Fraud, and also scambusters.org is quite good as well.